Hello everyone, my presentation today is titled Diplomas and Breakthroughs in the New Media Context on the Waithood of Young Peking Opera Practitioners. And this study explores how young performers in Peking Opera, one of China's most iconic traditional art forms, are coping with rapid social and technological change. Specifically, I use sociological concept of waithood to analyze the long period of uncertainty that many of these artists experience between graduation and professional recognition. I'll begin by outlining the background and the theoretical framework, then move to three main diplomas these young artists face. Finally, I'll discuss how digital and new media technologies provide potential breakthroughs for their professional and artistic development. Over the past 2 decades, digital technology has transformed how we create and consume culture. Film, music, and literature have all adapted to online platforms, yet traditional performing arts, especially those with deep historical roots like Peking opera, face particular challenges. Peking opera was once a dominant cultural form in China, combining music, dance, and theater, but as the entertainment industry diversified, it gradually lost its mass audience. Today, many young artists who spent years in training struggle to find performance opportunities or stable employment. This issue goes beyond economics. It reflects a deeper conflict between tradition and modernity, and between slow, embodied learning and a fast digital world. These artists stand at a crossroads, devoted to a century-old art yet compelled to adapt to modern cultural logic. This situation can be described as a state of waiting, a transition without clear direction, which is why I adopt the concept of waithood as an analytical lens. The term of waithood was first used by the sociologist Diana Singerman to describe young people in the Middle East who, after completing their education, still cannot enter adulthood due to unemployment and social constraints. In this context, waithood captures both economic delay, the inability to gain financial independence, and psychological suspension, the feeling of being stuck between aspiration and reality. I argue that this concept also applies to young Peking opera practitioners. They possess professional skills and qualifications, yet the structure of the industry prevents them from moving forward. And my research therefore focused on two central questions. What specific diplomas create waithood for young Peking opera artists? And how can new media platforms and digital tools help them to overcome or transform this waiting state? To answer this, I'll examine three main diplomas: skills, audience, and economy, and then propose three new media-based solutions. The first diploma concerns the low transferability of skills. Peking opera is built beyond embodied knowledge, skills that consist in the body and are transmitted through long-term practice rather than formal instruction. Students begin training as early as age like 8 and mastering singing, speaking, and acting and martial arts. While this system preserves artistic authenticity, it also isolates the practitioners from other industries. Their expertise, perfect for the stage, has limited value in non-artistic fields. Employment data from Beijing Opera Art College shows that less than half of the graduates in 2020 found jobs related to their training. Many shift to teaching or unrelated service jobs. This creates a structural mismatch. The skills that define their identity are precisely what restrict their career mobility, and the result is professional stagnation and a long transition before achieving social and financial stability. A textbook example of waithood. And the second diploma lies in limited audience appeal. Peking opera's artistic language is stylized gestures, symbolic makeup, and classical lyrics requires a cultural knowledge to understand. For younger audience raised on fast-paced media, this high threshold makes it difficult to engage. And within the field, creative conservatism further deepens the gap. Most tropes rely on historical repertoires, while new or experimental plays account for only a small fraction of performances. Unlike musical theater or film, which constantly evolve through popular influences, Peking opera tends to reproduce its golden age traditions. So results is an aging audience, declining attendance, and fewer opportunities for young actors to perform. For practitioners, this lack of audience connection not only reduces income, but also erodes motivation. Without feedback or recognition, the waiting period extends, not only in career terms, but also in emotional confidence. The third dilemma is the imbalance between investment and return. Training in Peking opera is long, expensive, and physically demanding. So there's an old saying, 1 minute on stage requires 10 years of practice off stage. Students spend years perfecting their movements and voice, often at the expense of a broader education. Yet after education, professional opportunities are scarce and low-paying. Costumes and stage productions also require high material costs, further reducing financial gain. Consequently, many young artists find themselves under heavy economic pressure. Some leave the profession entirely, while others remain in an uncertain half-in, half-out stage, teaching part-time or live streaming to supplement income. So their Waithood is therefore not only cultural but also deeply economic, a struggle to balance artistic ideals with practical survival. So to summarize these findings, the Waithood of young Peking opera practitioners emerges from three interconnected structural barriers. Low transferability of specialized skills, which limits career mobility, declining audience appeal, which weakens the performance market, and high investment and low returns, which create economic disincentives. These challenges reinforce one another, trapping many artists in a prolonged period of waiting and uncertainty. However, the emergence of digital platforms has introduced new cultural dynamics. By enabling interaction, self-promotion, and rapid communication, new media may help transform passive waiting into active adoption. The next section explores these potential breakthroughs. New media doesn't simply modernize old art forms, it reshapes how knowledge, creativity, and audience connect. For young Peking opera artists, digital tools opens new pathways to visibility and participation. My study identifies 3 such pathways that directly correspond to the earlier dilemmas. Knowledge universalization, making professional expertise accessible to general audience. Audience expansion, attracting young demographics through participatory and cross-cultural practices. And efficiency enhancement, improving time, cost, and career efficiency through online interaction. Altogether, these pathways offer not just survival strategies, but also new frameworks to cultural revitalization. So let's start with knowledge universalization. Traditional Peking opera knowledge was confined to classrooms and apprenticeship systems. Now, through live streaming, short videos, and online classes, performers can explain and demonstrate their art directly to a global audience. A good example is Guo Yuan, a post-19th performer who uses Douyin or TikTok to live-stream cloud performances. She introduces gestures and vocal patterns in everyday language, turning complex traditions to engaging cultural lessons. And this demystifies Peking opera and builds new forms of cultural literacy. Viewers who might never attend a theater performance can now learn, comment, and even imitate online. Economically, it also diversifies income sources through donations, teaching sessions, and collaborations. Thus, digital communication converts isolated artistic knowledge into shared and marketable knowledge, addressing the first dilemma of skill transferability. The second breakthrough is audience expansion. Social media platforms extend the reach of traditional arts beyond geographical and social boundaries. They also encourage participation. An audience no longer simply watch but interact. For example, short videos combining Peking opera music with pop or anime visuals attracts millions of young viewers. These hybrid forms don't erase tradition. They reinterpret it through modern aesthetics. So this participatory model creates emotional connection and renews relevance. Instead of being heritage performance, Peking opera becomes part of a living digital culture. For many young performers, this broader visibility leads to more recognition and opportunities. In other words, audience engagement, once a passive hope, becomes an achievable outcome. And the third pathway is efficiency enhancement, which tackles the time and cost challenges of profession. Traditionally, success in Peking opera required decades of gradual accumulation. Recognition was slow and uncertain. New media compresses this process. Platforms like Bilibili or Douyin TikTok allow immediate audience feedback, helping performers refine content and build reputation rapidly or quickly. Some artists gain national exposure from a single viral clip, bypassing the long institutional ladder. Meanwhile, the technologies such as cloud rehearsals enable remote collaboration, saving resources and time. Together, these digital tools shorten the waiting period between preparation and recognition, providing young performers with more control over their artistic and professional development. Here we can clearly see the correspondence between diplomas and digital solutions. So low transferability skills can be addressed by knowledge universalization. Limited audience appeal can be solved through audience expansion, and high investment, low return model can be mitigated by efficiency enhancement. So these transformations are not superficial. They represent a fundamental shift from passivity to agency. Instead of waiting validation from institutions or senior artists, these young practitioners can now create their own platforms and audience. So new media thus returns Waithood into a stage of self-definition and experimentation rather than a period of stagnation. To conclude, the Waithood of young Peking opera practitioners reveals how traditional art forms interact with modern structures of work and communication. Their dilemmas, low-skill transferability, limited audience appeal, and economic imbalance mirror broader social issues faced by many young professionals in transitional economies. Yet, the rise of new media technologies introduce new possibilities. By democratizing knowledge, expanding audience, and enhancing efficiency, digital tools reshape how traditional arts are produced and sustained. Looking forward, we may see further integration, AI-assisted training, virtual performance, and online-offline hybrid events that may combine heritage with innovation. Ultimately, the story of these young performers is not only about waiting, it's about transformation. Their adaptation through new media demonstrates how tradition can survive or even thrive when it learns to communicate in contemporary language. Thank you very much for your attention.